I spent 5 days walking the Camino Inglés from Ferrol to Santiago de Compostela in April. It's an amazing route that's great for new pilgrims with an abundance of services, full of natural beauty, and it's very pilgrim friendly. So, this is my packing list for the Camino Inglés and what I would bring for a spring or fall Camino, but I'll also let you know my modifications if I was doing this in summer. I'm Lainey, and this is Days We Spend. Let's start with the backpack. I brought a 24-liter bag for the 5-day Camino, and honestly, it's a little large for that. This is the Usui Hiker Pro, and it's a waterproof bag. What you want in a backpack for the Camino Inglés is waterproof or a really good rain cover, because you're in Galicia the entire time and you will get rain no matter what season you are walking. So I like this one because the entire bag is a dry bag and it's really comfortable for me. I'm not telling you need to get this exact same bag, but it's been with me on 8 Caminos or something, and it's still my go-to when I want to pack a little bit more stuff. Water on the Camino. I like to carry a water bladder. This is the one from Usui, and it has an insulated pouch, so it stays nice and cool instead of heating up from the air or my body heat. I really like the hose style because I find I drink more frequently and more often when I'm hiking. You don't need that because the Camino Inglés has an abundance of water fountains. There's this network every 4 to 10 kilometers of water fountains everywhere, and each fountain has a QR code that tells you where the next fountain is located. So you can get by on this Camino with maybe a 1 liter or a 2 liter bottle. If you're in summer, I'd bring 2 liters. If you're doing this in spring or fall, you could probably just carry 1 liter of water. So I found that I was never filling this up very much because I would just keep refilling it during the day. And that's going to keep your weight to a minimum instead of carrying water. 1 liter of water is a kilogram. That's quite heavy. On the same note about services, I really like to bring picnic lunches because I find it gives me more flexibility to hike throughout the day. So I'm not like waiting for the next town for food or forced to eat early when I'm not hungry. However, you don't need to do that. The Camino Inglés has so many services. There's only one day you kind of have to maybe think about buying a sandwich a little bit earlier in that day. But if you want to do picnics like I do, I like to bring a food bag for that. This one is from Hilltop Packs. A friend of mine made it for me. Thank you. And it's got my face on it, so you'll always know it's mine. It's waterproof. You don't need to bag this large, but if you know you're going to bring a lot of food, it's kind of nice to have something separate to separate out your food. I also bring a little spoon, fork, knife, fanoon spork thing so that I can, cut an avocado and eat that really nicely. And a pocket knife that my husband and I share when we hike. He usually carries this because I'm carrying other things, but on this trip, he got really sick and I actually ended up walking the last 3 days alone. So I ended up taking some of the gear that we share and carrying it myself. So I was glad I had the bigger backpack, so I was able to have some more flexibility with that choice. A good little pocket knife is what you want to bring. And if you're flying to arrive, you can always just check a box with some of your gear, like your hiking poles and your pocket knife. Clothing. I like to have 2 sets of clothes, the one I'm wearing and the one I'm packing, and then some layers. And that's it. You really don't need more than that for the Camino. I know it's nice to have different changes of outfits and different things to wear. And honestly, when it's a summer Camino, sometimes I bring a dress or a swimsuit as another option. But for 10 of the 13 Caminos I've walked, I only bring 2 things. And I'm always happy that's all I have. It's nice to have fewer choices and not have to keep track of all my stuff all over the albergue when you're not wearing or carrying as much. I like to hike in a sun hoodie. This one is a merino wool sun hoodie, which is great so as it doesn't smell and it dries fairly quickly when you wash it every day. I always look for one that has thumb holes and a really big hood so that I can really cover my face when I need to. I also have a great sun hoodie that I love from Jolly Gear, and that's a synthetic material. That one I prefer for hot summer Caminos because it's a little more breathable. The merino wool, when it's humid outside, is a bit hot, but I knew I was walking in April in Galicia, so I wanted to have my slightly warmer hoodie, and I really like the merino wool ones for spring and fall and like a little bit of some of the summer season. I really like hiking in long sleeves, just more sun protection, the better. And that's actually what I did this Camino. I hiked in pants. I don't always hike in pants. I often hike in shorts, and I'm slowly turning the corner to hike in pants more often because I don't have to pack as much sunscreen and my legs stay a little cleaner throughout the day. I like to wear these pair of pants because they fit me. I'm 5'1". I'm really short, so I have to bring a pair of pants that are like made for petite people. These ones are from Mountain Hardwear. I have another pair, the exact same pair from Mountain Hardwear in black as my town pants. So I wore one and then kept one clean for when I got into the cities at the end of the day. Bring the pants that you love the most, but I also picked these because they're really lightweight, so they don't weigh as much in my bag. When I got to the albergue and after I showered, I changed into a merino wool t-shirt. I've got many merino wool t-shirts. This is one of the ones I pulled out of my drawer. I always like to pack merino wool because I find I don't need to wash it as frequently, and I also sleep in this shirt besides wearing it around town. I've got links to all the things that I'm mentioning in the description below. So if you want advice on particular brands and things that I'm using, you can go ahead and click those. Some of them are affiliate links, and if you click through them, thank you for supporting our channel a little bit at no cost to you. When I'm hiking, I like to wear a merino wool sports bra. This one is from Brandwin Merino, and it's their brand new version of their sports bra. Love the merino wool because, again, it doesn't smell. And if it did get really gross, if the Camino was longer than 5 days, I would definitely wash it. But I didn't need to wash it for 5 days, and it was fine. After I shower, I change into the merino wool bralette from Brandwin Merino. Again, bring what you're comfortable with, but I love these merino wool ones. It's just my favorite, especially this brand. I find they hold up really, really well, and they're just really comfortable on me. For underwear, I like to bring 2 of the same pair of underwear. One I'm wearing and one is in my bag. Again, I change after I shower. So I'm like wearing them for 24 hours, changing around 4 or 5 p.m., whatever it is. They're both from Brandwin Merino. One's like the bikini cut and one's the other cut, but they're both full coverage underwear. So I wear these when I'm sleeping. I don't walk around the albergue in this, but I do feel comfortable enough wearing this to bed in my sleep sack. I like to wear merino wool. You notice a pattern here? I like to wear merino wool socks from Darn Tough because I find these are just literally the darndest, toughest socks you can find. I don't know what happened to my second sock. It's somewhere in this pile, but I'm wearing one pair and the other pair is either drying on my bag because they kind of take a little longer to dry because they're so thick, or it's in my bag. So one pair to wear, one pair to wash, rotate them out every day. I find the best blister prevention is if I wear sock liners, and I just bring one pair because they dry every day so I can just rewear them every day. These are silk ones. You can also use synthetic or merino wool sock liners. Again, it's a preference of how you deal with blister prevention, but I've been doing this technique since I was a teenager and I'm not about to change it because it works great for me. I have a fleece sweater. You're going to need some kind of sweater no matter when you're walking in Galicia, whether it's fall, spring, summer, any of the seasons. So bring a little lightweight sweater. I like to bring a buff. I brought my merino wool buff for the spring Camino because I looked at the weather forecast, said it was going to be a little chilly for some of the days, although we also had a heat wave. If you bring a buff, you can pick like a summer weight one or a winter weight, mid-weight one. You always need something like this. Good for your neck protection, good for your head. I use it as a headband when I'm washing my face in the albergues. It's great. Bring a buff. A rain jacket, because it's Galicia, you're going to need to get a rain jacket. This is a Patagonia rain jacket that I've had for years and I love it. So people always ask, why a rain jacket, not a poncho? I prefer a rain jacket because I can wear it comfortably when it's cold and windy and not rainy. It does dual purpose. It's just a jacket to me rather than a poncho, which you can only wear when it's raining and it's kind of cumbersome. Yeah, my body gets a little wet when it's raining, like my lower half is wet, but I am okay with that. It's a sacrifice I feel willing to make so I have less weight in my bag. So that's something that you're going to have to think about as a personal choice. So do you want to be a little more covered or do you want to have something that's a little more multi-purpose? And my last piece of clothing is my hat. I like this one because it folds and I can stuff it in the side pocket. So in the mornings when I'm not needing it, it's just ready to grab as soon as the sun comes out, and it's very breathable. Big brim. This is from Sunday Afternoons. I've taken this on Caminos since 2019. I love this hat. Sunday Afternoons, if you want to sponsor me, that's okay. I'd be cool with that. Shoes. Now that we've gone over all the clothing, let's talk about footwear. I like to wear the Ultra Lone Peaks. These are the 8. The 9s are also really good right now. It doesn't matter what number they are. I like the Lone Peak version for a couple reasons. And I just think the cushion is just the right amount for me. Now, I choose a trail runner shoe that's a 0 drop, partially because I wear a 0 drop shoe in daily life. If you don't, please don't get these shoes. Get like a Hoka or something else. What you want to look for in a Camino shoe, no matter what, is a wide toe box. This is going to prevent blisters and prevent foot pain because your foot is going to have enough room to splay and to swell, which it will swell as you walk throughout the day. I like a low top because honestly, so much of the trail you're walking on is on concrete or in towns or on roads. And so I find a bigger boot is just overkill and I'm too hot and it's just not the right terrain for that. And then finally, I bring a pair of sandals. I've got 2 pairs of sandals here to show you. I always pack my sandals in a bag so that I don't have to have them touching everything else in my bag. I try to pack these the night before so the crinkly bag isn't like making a mess in the albergue. Don't be that person packing in the morning with crinkly bags. My go-to sandals are these Crocs sandals because they dry like in 5 minutes after wearing them in the shower. But I don't think they're the most comfortable for walking around town because I don't like that I have to like use my toes to grip. But because on this Camino, I knew we were doing longer days and wouldn't be walking around town as much, I chose these sandals. However, if I plan to do more exploring or if it's like the height of summer, I always like to bring a pair of sandals that I can walk in more comfortably. And I really like these ones by Zero Shoes, either the D-Trail sandals, their newest ones. They're made to like dry a little quicker and you can hike in them if you wanted to. But these are the ones that I will be bringing all this coming summer, but also that I would have brought if it was a summer version of the Camino Inglés. Sleeping gear. So on the Camino, you typically have to bring something to sleep in. Now, this route has so many private albergues that if you don't want to stay in a place without bedding, you can every night. So you don't have to pack bedding if you plan and make reservations in the private albergues. And it's great if you don't have to pack anything. However, if you are planning to stay in the municipal albergues like I did, you need to bring more gear, especially because the municipal albergues don't really have blankets on this route. I think only 1 of them had blankets of the 4 we stayed at. You're going to want to bring a little bit more sleeping gear if you're hiking this in the shoulder seasons. If you're in summer, just bring the sleep sack. No matter what season, I'm bringing a sleep sack, and I like a silk one because it's just the lightest weight version that I have, and it's nice and small. And if it's hot out, I'm not overheating. I also brought my down blanket, and I'm really, really glad I had this because there were some really cold nights in April. This is why I brought my bigger backpack because this packs down fairly small, but it will not fit in a smaller bag with all my other stuff than like a 20 or a 24 liter backpack. And it was really important for me to have the blanket when Shawn got sick. I was able to loan it to him and I just slept in more clothes. Because if you don't bring a blanket, your alternative is just, okay, you sleep in more clothes, you deal with a kind of colder night. It's not a big deal, but would you rather get a good night's sleep and carry a little extra weight? Or would you rather like maybe sleep not as great, but have a lot less like weight in your bag? It's a trade-off. And then I bring a little pouch with some of my sleeping accessories, and you do not need to bring this in a pouch. The reason I have it is because I have a couple of extra things that you probably won't have. And those things are for my hearing aids. So I wear hearing aids and I have to put them in a dehumidifier at night and bring some extra batteries and accessories for those. And I like to keep that with my sleep gear, so I always know where these really important things are. You definitely need a sleep mask. People keep lights on, turn them off at odd hours. A sleep mask is very important, as well as earplugs if you are a person who does hear well. I don't need earplugs because I'm pretty much deaf when I take my hearing aids out. So yeah, if you are sensitive to noise, bring earplugs. Health, hygiene, and toiletries, and first aid. All the things. This is my whole toiletry kit. It looks a little bulky, but that's because I chose to bring my hairbrush this time, a really tiny one. Sometimes I like to bring this, sometimes I don't. I like to keep this on a little carabiner so I can hook it to my pocket or over a door when I'm brushing my teeth, and I keep my hair tie on there when I'm not wearing it. The reason it's so bulky is I have a mouth guard, so bring the hygiene things that you need. I bring a comb, a piece of a bar of Dr. Bronner's soap in a bag. This is the Matador bag. I love it because the soap will dry through the bag. So you just hang the bag on the outside of your backpack, and throughout the day it'll dry perfectly and your soap lasts a lot longer. I use this soap for my body, for my face, for my clothes. I use this for hand washing clothes. And if I was gonna wash my hair, I use it to wash my hair on the Camino. Travel toothbrush and some floss picks. Toothpaste tabs that I count out to be the exact number I need. I think these are lighter weight than bringing a little tube of toothpaste. I prefer them. In this container is my tiny solid moisturizer, some Q-tips in a bag because I wear hearing aids, so I have to dry my ears before I put them back in. And this is my natural deodorant that I've decanted into a smaller container because, as we always say, decant, decant, decant. Take something large, put it into something smaller. I bring a towel. This is a quick dry towel from Sea to Summit. It's changed my life. It's quite large for how small it packs, really lightweight. Hand sanitizer that lives on the outside of my bag. Always sanitize your hands before everything because so many municipal albergues and bars don't have soap in Spain and you just never know what you're touching. I actually think that's how Shawn got sick, is from the albergue that didn't have soap and people doing their business in the bathroom and then touching all the handles and not washing their hands. So we'll talk about another method I use in a little bit, but I always have hand sanitizer handy. I also bring a Kula cloth. You use it like toilet paper and then clip it back to your bag and you don't have to deal with dirty toilet paper on trail, because never, ever, ever leave toilet paper on trail. You should be packing that out with you and throwing it away. The Camino has a huge problem with toilet paper, especially the last 100 kilometers. It's disgusting. Please don't contribute to that problem. Make sure you leave no trace and help let others know they can leave no trace too. Sometimes I have to bring period products on the Camino and I usually use a cup, but this time I knew that it was gonna happen partway through the Camino, so I just ended up buying some tampons at the grocery store when it happened. And this is my whole first aid kit. You don't need a big first aid kit, but you do need a few things. I sometimes have bad knees and problems with downhill, so I always bring a little bit of like kinesiology tape in case I need to tape up my knees. Some Advil, ibuprofen, allergy medicine, because oh my gosh, my allergies were going through the roof in April. I like to bring some stomach medicine, and it was good I had it because Shawn ended up using all of my stomach medicine, but I like to bring Tums, Pepto-Bismol, and some Imodium. Honestly, that's just about you. If you think you have a sensitive stomach, then bring some stuff. I know I have a very sensitive stomach, so I always have some things with me. A couple Band-Aids and a little antibiotic ointment in case you do get a cut. It's important to really make sure you don't get an infection. So we like the little antibiotic ointment pouches. This is some lamb's wool, which I use to cushion my feet when I feel I'm getting a hot spot for a blister. I love it. And in the spirit of toiletries, I like to bring sunscreen in these two little tins. I like to wear a zinc sunscreen because I think it sticks and stays on my face longer or my skin longer. These little tins are from All Good and they make a white one and a tinted one. However, I actually ran out of tinted one. So this is decanted of this local Galician brand called Fuca Eri. They make these really great sunscreens and I actually really love their white one because it rubs in much more clear than the All Good white one does. But the Fuca Eri is what I was wearing on the Camino Inglés, but I just decanted it into the All Good tin of the tinted one. I like a little tinted sunscreen on my face because I think it just kind of gives me this nice little glow where it's just when you use the white sunscreen on your face, it's just a pasty pale tint. But I use the white one for my neck, my hands, if my ankles are showing thing, because the tinted one does stain your clothing. So I try to keep it away from my clothing. Last but not least, accessories. All the other random items in my bag. I like to bring these armless sunglasses from Hombres because when I'm not using them, they're just around my neck and it's awesome and they're super lightweight. These are them without the side shields. You can just get them plain without the side shields, but I really like to add the side shields to them because I find on the Camino when I'm outside all day long, I like the extra protection that these provide my eyes when the sun is like changing angles throughout the day. The case they come in has a little cleaning cloth so you can keep your sunglasses clean. Hiking poles, these are personal choice, but I always bring mine because I love walking with my hiking poles. So I brought a dry bag. This is a 5-liter dry bag. I used it as like a stuff sack for my clothes, which you don't need to do it that way. But the reason I brought it is because municipal albergue showers almost never have space for your stuff to not get wet in the shower with you. So what I would do is put my clean clothes and my dirty stuff. I just put everything I was showering with in the dry bag, includes my hearing aids because I always have them with me. And then I used this Hero clip, which is the best carabiner ever because you can swivel it out and it hooks. Then I would hook my stuff to the shower door and hook the dry bag so it was hanging. And speaking of valuables, I always have all of my valuables in this waist pack or whatever you want to call it. This is a 2-liter one. I've been using this for a long time, but I like that it's a very slim profile. So when it is raining, it fits under my rain jacket and it's not in the way or getting wet. In this bag, I'm always keeping a couple essentials. It's always on my body. And that includes some sunscreen chapstick, soap sheets. So like I told you, there's not soap everywhere. So whenever you need soap, it's always on my body and I always have soap. I've also got a lens cleaning cloth because we make videos and you should clean your lens. It's always dirty. My wallet, I like one with 2 zipper pouches for cards and then for cash because, you know, there's lots of coins in Europe, so you're going to use those coins. And then I bring this little extra pouch here because this little pouch it's got like my hearing aid accessories. So you probably don't need this, but you might have like some other personal items that you always have to have with you. And the last thing that's in this bag is my pilgrim passport, or if you were coming from abroad and traveling, you'd have your actual passport in here. I live in Spain, so I don't need to carry my passport around, but when I do need it on international trips, it's always in my waist bag. Oh, and in my waist pack is my phone, or sometimes that's in the pocket of my backpack. I've got an iPhone, so I need the iPhone cable for charging. And then I sometimes bring 2 different chargers depending on what I need. If I'm bringing one thing, I just bring this little 30-watt Anker charger, but it only has 1 port here. So I can only charge one thing at a time. It's a fast charger, which is important because you don't want to take all the time with the plugs and share them with other people because sometimes there's not enough. This one's an EU prong, so you don't have to use a converter or anything. You can just bring this 1 pronged thing. But if you don't have an EU pronged one, and we actually brought this also, this is a charger from Epica. It's got so many different ports. So when Shawn got sick, he passed this one to me because I was then also charging some of our other gear that we use for filming. So if you know you have a lot of things you want to be charging, it's nice to bring extra ports and different cables because you can also share with other pilgrims, which is what we did with this. We would plug it in and then a bunch of other pilgrims would use it at the same time. I've got some camera gear that you will not need to bring, but just let you know, we bring a Moment filter because I have a Moment case lens and we use it for the sunny days. Got our tripod, which expands. So that's how I was able to film myself. The magnet head is so heavy, but it's worth how easy it is to just slap my phone on there. And then I carried our microphones when Shawn got sick. He usually carries these. Thank you, Shawn. But these are just our microphones, which you can see I'm wearing. And last thing I brought on this Camino, because I knew I was going to be doing picnics, is I brought a sit pad. And I don't always bring this, but when I do, I love having it because I just get like a really comfortable seat and I can sit anywhere I want. But again, if I wasn't doing any picnics, I wouldn't bring this. So again, it's a very personal choice if you bring some kind of pad or mat, but I like this small one and it just sits in the side pocket of my bag. So that's everything I brought for the Camino Inglés. If you have a piece of gear that you really love that works for you, please put that in the comments below. I love having conversations about different gear and different things that you think work for you for the Camino de Santiago. Remember, the Camino Inglés is only 5 days, and every town you're staying in, with the exception of Hospital de Bruma, has a lot of services and items and grocery stores and pharmacies. You don't need to oversupply yourself for this trip. When you walk this route, I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. I found it was magical, beautiful, and full of pilgrim spirit. You can like this video and subscribe to our channel. And if you want to become a little more involved member, we have memberships. Woo, you can be an amigo of Days We Spend. You can be a Days We Friend. You can also follow us on Instagram, which we post a lot about our Caminos. When we're on the Camino, I'm posting stories about them every day that we're hiking. So thank you so much for spending this day with me. I'm Lainey, and buen camino.